The running back ranking begins today. Please do not stress the group of guys I've decided to watch, as I will get to the rest in future videos. At number 9 we've got Derrick Henry. My summary for Henry being no longer has the juice of an elite running back, but you still wouldn't want him on the other team. I really do think Derrick Henry's lost a step. His movement's just looking a bit sluggish to me. Obviously he's still got that size and power and he's tough to bring down, so it's not like he's going to fall off in a huge way, certainly not on the Ravens. But he's just not taking advantage of holes the way that the guys in front of him are, with the elite footwork and fluidity in their movement. I think there's a reason that Derrick Henry's teammate Tyjae Spears had a better yards per carry than he did. At number 8 I've got Nick Chubb, and what I've said about him is that he is the second best running back in the league if he returns fully healthy. Chubb had a season-ending knee injury in week 2 of last season that he is still recovering from. Who knows if he'll ever be the same thing, that's why he drops so significantly. But if he does return to that form, he's got truly elite vision and patience, as well as the ability to change direction and supreme thickness in his build and balance to take the contact. At number 7 I've got Josh Jacobs, now a member of the Green Bay Packers. Assertive and powerful, will thrive behind a good offensive line. Jacobs has the movement skills of someone who is a bit more of a creative runner. These guys who have the ability to jump around the way he does can get a bit caught up in dancing around the line of scrimmage until they get hit, whereas Jacobs really is taking advantage of every hole that is there to be had. He has some injury issues, including one he's dealing with at the moment in his hamstring, but when he's right, he's got the movement skills, the thickness, he's got it all. I suppose there's no way to put it other than saying I think he's a bit of a watered down version of the running backs I've got ahead of him. Starting with number 6, Bijan Robinson. Has the potential to be the best running back in the league. And usually I hate statements like this because it is usually the sort of thing people say when they haven't watched it properly and they're just saying they have to see the production before they can call him that. But there is something valid to it with Bijan because he's got those raw abilities. The movement skills are special. You can see why he was a bit of a superstar coming out of college. He's very creative, and with that jumpy sort of style, there is the ability to break away for a touchdown on any given play. He's the first guy we're going to talk about here that I think has real receiving ability, real value in that side of things. He does run routes like a slot receiver, and he's got great acceleration. He's big, he's powerful. He just, for me, needs to work on the sort of subtle ability the best running backs in the league have to recognize when you're hitting the outside and when it's time to just hit the hole that's there. He can be a little bit overly ambitious, overly creative to break to the outside instead of realising that sometimes the grass is greener out the middle. Coming in at number 5 we've got Breece Hall, who overcame a Jets O-line with special patience and vision. When I first started watching the Breece Hall film, I didn't quite understand it. I was sure that his movement wasn't on the level of any of these guys we've spoken about, and I just wasn't getting the buzz. And then I started to realise why it works. I think he has the best vision of anyone on this list, barring Christian McCaffrey, and even McCaffrey, it's arguable. He just has this incredible knack for finding every gap that there is to be had, even when no one else could have possibly seen it. And I said about his movement skills, and I stand by that, but he is able to slip and slide in a way that he needs to take advantage of what I'm speaking about. And his breakaway run percentage is the best in the league, meaning runs over 15 yards, because of this patience to wait for the perfect opportunity. He is a good receiving back, but I would like to clear up the fact that he's second in receiving yards of all running backs, because that's led to some people thinking he's the second best receiving back in the league, when actually it's much more to do with the Jets offense and the fact they had to keep checking it down. It's not that Breece Hall can run routes in the slot the way that a Bijan Robinson can, for example. This takes us on to number 4, Saquon Barkley. At last, he has chance to fulfill his potential with real production. We know that Saquon Barkley has struggled with health in the past, but if he can stay healthy, this feels like his season, finally behind a good offensive line to take advantage of what he's got. When it comes to making people miss, he's the man. He is constantly bouncing around and has got himself in trouble with it in the past, similar to what I've spoken about earlier in the video about guys who bounce around too much at the line of scrimmage. But I really think he's found a balance of making things happen, making people miss, and also making sure he doesn't get too dancey. He does take advantage of what's there to be had. He's tough, he's got great contact balance, he's got great vision, he's got legitimate slot receiving ability, but his real value comes in his shifty, short area movement. At number 3, I've got Jonathan Taylor, a big bouncy ball of power when healthy. Taylor has had pretty much 2 seasons in a row ruined by injury, but in week 18 of last season, he really did seem back to his best, or at least something close. He has truly elite vision, power, and you can see how special his short area movement is. It's actually quite reminiscent of Saquon Barkley, but I do hold some value in this ranking with the ability to stay healthy, and Jonathan Taylor obviously hasn't shown that. But I think if he did, he'd be ahead of number 2. And at number 2, we've got Kyren Williams. Not the biggest, not the fastest, but as good as it gets in small spaces. I realise I'm sticking my neck out a bit with this ranking, but he really is this good. It wasn't just the Rams' offensive line. This wasn't just a one-year wonder. The subtle movements that are so important in running backs, in fact more important than anything, he's the best. He just slots in every hole with his flexibility in his ankles. He has great vision, he's got great contact balance, he just seems to sneak through every hole with that low centre of gravity. If I was putting together an offense and specifically a run game, I would trust Kyren Williams over anyone behind him to slide through the gaps that are there. He's like water that way. I actually think he could be taken advantage a bit more with his receiving ability. He does look like one of these guys who can be a sort of hybrid receiver. And then at number 1, I've got Christian McCaffrey. No great shocks. I'm always going to go into these exercises with an open mind. I wasn't set on that he's the best running back in the league because that wasn't necessarily the consensus before he was on the 49ers. But I've written here, the only irreplaceable running back in the league. He's the only guy that if he wasn't on that team, they would have to start to rethink what they're doing. There's no one else who can slot in and play that role the way he does, because it is self-explanatory. Everything we've spoken about, he's the man. He's got the best vision of anyone. He has this sort of sixth sense for where the space is. His ability to hop around and change direction is special. The contact balance is unreal. He just stays on his feet when you're so sure the play is over. And on top of all of this, he is a legit slot receiver. If he wasn't a running back, you could put him in at slot receiver and he'd be one of the best slot receivers in the league. So yeah, he's the best one. This is the ranking so far. Let me know what I got wrong. Let me know who I should be looking at next. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.